Long before gold or silver, one simple mineral ruled the ancient world. This is the story of how salt built kingdoms, bought armies, and shaped civilizations. Salt wasn't just a spice, it was life itself. Without it, food spoiled, armies collapsed, and trade stopped dead. From Rome to China, salt became money. Blocks of crystallized minerals traded hand to hand like bars of gold. The Roman word salarium, from which we get salary, literally means payment in salt. Entire empires built roads for salt. The ancient salt routes stretched thousands of miles, connecting deserts, mountains, and seas. In the Sahara, salt was as valuable as gold. Caravans crossed deadly sands just to deliver a few slabs. Salt didn't just season food, it preserved life. Empires rose where salt flowed and fell where it ran out. Kings discovered the power of monopoly. Whoever controlled salt controlled wealth itself. Salt mines became treasures guarded like royal vaults. Workers risked their lives for a mineral more precious than silver. In Venice, salt turned a lagoon city into a financial powerhouse of the medieval world. French kings taxed salt so heavily that it sparked rebellion. The gabelle became one of the most hated taxes in history. Even wars were fought for salt. Control of mines meant control of money. Salt made towns rich overnight. Cities like Salzburg literally mean the fortress of salt. Along the African trade routes, salt was exchanged pound for pound with gold dust. Salt built kingdoms across Mali and Ghana, where it funded armies and trade empires for centuries. Salt wasn't mined everywhere. Its scarcity made it perfect for trade, small, durable, and universally needed. Salt even shaped religion. Many cultures saw it as holy, used in offerings, blessings, and protection rituals. In Japan, warriors purified battlefields with salt before combat, a symbol of honor and renewal. In China, salt taxes filled imperial coffers for centuries, one of the oldest state monopolies in the world. Salt connected continents before ships or planes ever did. It was the world's first truly global trade network. In Europe, salt built entire cities. Lüneburg and Hallstatt became medieval financial centers thanks to white crystals. The salt guilds became as powerful as banks, controlling prices, trade routes, and even politics. Salt wasn't only about money. It was about power, control, and survival in a world without refrigeration. Every handful of salt told a story of sweat, labor, and empires that lived or died by trade. Salt didn't just flavor history, it wrote it. From ancient caravans to royal treasuries, salt was the first global currency. Salt influenced trade routes, taxes, and wealth like few other commodities in history. Even in deserts, salt determined who lived and who starved. It was wealth carved from the earth. Salt caravans braved sandstorms and bandits, carrying slabs worth a king's ransom. Salt empowered merchants to rise above peasants, creating the first forms of economic class. The first trade markets were built around salt crystals and their careful measurement. Salt's influence was global. Europe, Africa, and Asia all competed for its control. Salt shaped economies long before coinage, teaching early civilizations about supply and demand. Kings hoarded salt like treasure, storing it in fortified granaries and guarding it with soldiers. Salt's value wasn't just monetary. It preserved life, allowing populations to grow and cities to flourish. Even the Roman army marched on salt, receiving their salarium to survive campaigns. Salt turned obscure towns into trade hubs, connecting distant empires through commerce. Salt made long journeys possible, enabling trade across deserts, rivers, and mountains. Salt taxes funded armies, built roads, and filled the coffers of kingdoms around the world. Salt was as good as gold in medieval markets, a true measure of wealth and stability. Salt trade required trust, contracts, and negotiation, lessons that built early finance. Salt created networks of merchants, transporters, and rulers dependent on a single mineral. Salt forged the first multinational trade routes, connecting cultures far apart. Salt defined borders, inspired taxation, and even influenced early warfare strategies. Salt inspired laws, guilds, and regulations that mirrored modern financial systems. Salt's reach went from the Sahara to the Alps, linking kingdoms through necessity. Salt's scarcity and durability made it perfect as a medium of exchange for early societies. Salt created economic hierarchies, rewarding those who could produce, transport, or control it. Salt shaped society, influencing diet, trade, taxes, and politics across centuries. Salt was both commodity and currency, essential for survival and status alike. Salt trade was a global enterprise before global empires existed. Salt built empires in ways few minerals ever could, shaping the course of civilization. Salt connected the powerful and the powerless through trade, taxes, and barter. Salt was the silent engine behind economic innovation and empire building. Salt's legacy survives in the word salary, a daily reminder of its historical importance. Salt taught early humans how to assign value, creating the first financial systems. Salt influenced the rise and fall of kingdoms, proving that the smallest grains can have enormous power. Salt's story is a testament to how essential resources shape history. Salt created wealth, inspired trade networks, and taught lessons that still echo in modern finance. Salt's power endured centuries, proving that necessity drives innovation and economy. Salt shaped civilization, connecting continents, kingdoms, and people through its value. Salt inspired trade, taxes, and markets that formed the foundation of modern economies. Salt was the first global currency, linking cultures long before coins existed. Salt proved that even humble resources can define human civilization. Salt shaped society, trade, and politics, leaving a legacy that still affects our world. Salt taught humans about trust, commerce, and the power of controlled resources. Salt showed that survival and economy are deeply intertwined. Salt created the first systems of wealth, taxation, and market regulation. Salt drove empires to expand, conquer, and connect through trade routes. Salt was the commodity that made early global trade possible. Salt's value transcended food. It became the standard for commerce and power. Salt was a teacher, showing how resources can create economic and social structures. Salt's influence can still be seen in cities, trade, and modern financial systems. Salt's story is a lesson in value, scarcity, and the evolution of wealth. When salt lost its crown, gold took its throne, but the rules of value stayed the same. The first currencies were born from salt's example: rare, divisible, durable, and desired. Salt showed humanity how to turn trust into trade and trade into wealth. Even as salt faded, it left behind invisible blueprints: trade systems, taxes, markets, and finance. Salt taught us to think beyond survival. It taught us to plan, to save, to invest in tomorrow. It linked people who never met: farmers, sailors, kings, and merchants, all bound by white crystals. Salt showed that power didn't need to roar. It only needed to flow. It was the quiet empire beneath every empire, the currency that built trust across continents. In Africa, Asia, and Europe alike, salt was the heartbeat of civilization long before coins clinked. Salt was never flashy or rare. It was essential. That's what made it priceless. In every ancient kitchen and royal hall, salt was the silent guest of honor. Salt shaped the first borders, inspired the first taxes, and sparked the first protests. Even when empires fell, salt endured, an immortal witness to humanity's rise and fall. In time, the same greed that once chased salt began chasing gold, oil, and paper. Salt taught us that money is only as strong as the trust behind it. Without salt, humanity might never have learned to trade, only to take. Salt linked life to value, hunger to hope, and survival to civilization. Even today, we chase new forms of salt: digital coins, data, and attention, the new currencies of our age. Salt was our first teacher in the art of value, and maybe our last reminder of what value really means. The same spark that made salt sacred built our entire economic world. Salt made us human. It connected our survival to our imagination. Every civilization that mastered salt mastered time, preserving not just food, but history itself. Salt was never about taste. It was about transformation. It turned nature into economy. And though its empire faded, the story of salt remains the foundation of every coin, contract, and trade we know. So next time you hold a grain of salt, remember, you're holding the first currency humanity ever trusted. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing content.